Secrets in the moonlight. There wasn't a single moment in my imagination where I would be sitting in a faded, tie-dyed tent at a county fair on the outskirts of Savannah, Georgia, staring at a woman with fiery red curls cascading over her shoulders. Her large, silver hoop earrings swayed as she tilted her head, skepticism painted across her face. "You gonna shell out for this?" she grumbled, pointing at a nearly full tip jar with a dramatic flourish. I bit my lip and reluctantly peeled off the last of my savings from my seasonal catering job, hoping that my best friend Quinn had been right about this experience. The woman's eyebrows shot up as she observed the transaction, and she quickly flipped her cards with exaggerated flair before settling her green eyes on me. "Let's make it quick. The spirits don't wait for no one," she declared, the confidence in her tone both unnerving and oddly enticing. As the bright cotton candy stalls started dimming their lights in the deepening twilight, the psychic swept her hand over a golden deck of tarot cards, each adorned with mystical symbols. The musty scent of potpourri filled the air, wrapping around me like a warm, sentient blanket. I mentally added psychic to my ever-growing list of occupations I'd never pursue. "The Knight of Wands," she said, flipping a card, revealing an intricate illustration of a fierce woman riding a horse, lance held high. She leaned in, her voice dipped in intrigue. "You're passionate, my dear, and full of potential. But don't mistake passion for direction. You're running towards something, not realizing that you don't even know where you're headed." I raised an eyebrow. "That sounds a bit patronizing," I quipped, but the psychic merely smirked, undeterred. Then she flipped another card, revealing a beautiful empress-like figure surrounded by lush greenery. "The Empress," she declared, her finger tapping on the drawn image. "Relationships surround you, but be wary. Not all seeds you plant will grow strong." "Are you saying I need to break up with my girlfriend?" I asked incredulously, feeling my heart quicken. "No one's saying that," she chuckled knowingly, fanning herself as if she were in a hot summer sun. "But maybe take a step back and reassess. It's okay to make sure you're on solid ground before building your empire." Just as I was about to interject again, the psychic took a deep breath, and for a fleeting moment, contemplation clouded her eyes. "Now for your future." Like a magician unveiling a grand finale, she revealed a card showing a crumbling tower, perilously leaning under stormy skies, while faceless figures plummeted toward the earth. "Ah!" I exclaimed, eyes widening in horror. "What does that mean?" "Look closer," she instructed, her nails clawing at the edge of the table. "Crumbling towers speak of sudden change, perhaps even betrayal. But what is being revealed isn't necessarily the end, sometimes it's a needed clearing before a new beginning." My pulse raced as her words raced through my mind. I had always been the one to pick at old wounds, rarely addressing the storms brewing within. A sense of urgency rose when I glanced outside at Quinn, her golden locks showing under the twilight stars, her smile warm as she interacted with the cotton candy vendor. Despite the psychic's unsettling predictions, I needed to talk to Quinn. "Let's just say, I don't want to linger on this," I murmured, trying to shake off the heavy weight of foreboding settled on my shoulders. The psychic, undaunted, nodded knowingly. "Time's on your side, for now. But remember, even towers can stand tall if what's inside them is strong enough to support their weight." With that, the air shifted. I left the tent swiftly, drenched in thoughts heavier than the humid southern air. The fairgrounds glowed in a kaleidoscope of colors, the energetic atmosphere starkly contrasting the weight of the psychic's predictions. "B," Quinn called, bounding over to me with her joyful enthusiasm. The breath hitched in my throat at the sight of her, and I felt instantly lighter. "Did you love it? Tell me everything." I took a deep breath, collecting my thoughts. "It was interesting," I replied carefully, not wanting to share my dark revelations too soon. "Interesting." Quinn arched her brow, her voice dripping with playful sarcasm. I wondered if she could sense the tumult beneath my calm facade. Her striking blue eyes sparkled with mischief. "Interesting enough to consider a return visit." "Sure, if I get another tip," I teased, leaning against a nearby booth to divert the building tension inside me. We walked on, her shoulder brushing against mine as the sounds of laughter and joy surrounded us. But the psychic's visions lingered, wrapping around my mind like the faint scent of vanilla from the nearest funnel cake stand. B. Quinn's voice broke through the clouds of my thoughts, her gaze sharpening. You okay? You seem off. I shrugged, but my heart was racing beneath the surface. Just got some news, I started, hesitating. I needed to tell her about it, but the weight was heavy, and I feared what spilling it would unleash. Quinn paused mid-step, her eyes piercing through my facade. You know you can tell me anything, right? I nodded, swallowing down the apprehension. I know. Maybe I just needed to gauge how she'd feel when I told her about the storm brewing in my heart. And then I remembered the tower. Did you know that the tower symbolizes something falling apart? Something that might expose cracks in our foundation. I blurted, feeling a rush of vulnerability as I sheepishly glanced at her. Well, if it's special to you, Quinn mused, clearly puzzled. But what do you mean? I don't know, I admitted. I guess I just want us to be solid. Like, too much change might. Quinn interrupted, her voice gentle but insistent. Life is about change, right? Losing our balance means we're growing, learning. We exchanged an electrifying glance. The air thickened around us, holding a fragile tension that was as comforting as it was terrifying. Quinn, I took a step closer, heart fluttering as I leaned toward her. What if we could announce us to the world together? Her eyes widened in surprise, but swiftly turned to excitement. I'd like that, she whispered, breathless beneath the enchantment of the night. But as her warmth enveloped me, that psychic's warning hung in the back of my thoughts. Could I really build something strong enough to withstand the storms ahead? Still, as Quinn's hand found mine, a part of me vowed to try, even if it meant facing uncertainties. Maybe we were just at the beginning of our own saga, the falling tower now an invitation to build something stronger. And as the stars twinkled above, I realized that even in moments of fear, love could shine as fiercely as a full moon. No matter how much we might have to weather, I wanted to dive into that unknown future together. As we stood there, our fingers intertwined under the soft glow of the carnival lights, the evening air carried a buoyancy that felt electric. Quinn's excitement ignited a spark in me I hadn't felt in ages, a thrilling mixture of hope and fear. Should we take a ride? Quinn suggested, her eyes glinting mischievously as she pointed toward the Ferris wheel towering above the fair. The bright lights shone against the velvet sky like stars made of dreams. Sure. Let's do it, I answered, more enthusiastically than I intended. My heart raced as I imagined us in one of the enclosed baskets, just the two of us suspended in midair, talking about everything and nothing, sharing secrets under the stars. As we walked toward the ride, I couldn't help but steal glances at her. The way her curls bounced with each step, the way the edges of her lips turned up in a smile, it felt almost surreal. For a brief moment, I shoved aside the haunting predictions from the psychic. This was our moment. Once settled in the Ferris wheel's basket, I felt the tension in my body start to dissolve as the wheel began to ascend. The view opened up beneath us, revealing the sprawling fairground bathed in fairy lights, laughter dancing in the air like fireflies. Quinn squeezed my hand, and the warmth spread through me like a gentle wave. Can you believe how beautiful this is? She exclaimed, her excitement palpable. Look at all those lights. It feels like a scene from a movie. It does, I agreed, feeling a sense of wonder creeping in. Like we're in our own little bubble up here. As we reached the top and the wheel paused momentarily, I glanced over at Quinn. The way her face glowed in the ambient light made the moment linger, and I knew I wanted to remember this forever. Quinn, I began, wrestling with the words that tumbled in my mind. There's something I've really been wanting to share. Is it about the reading? Her voice was low, as if she instinctively understood the significance of what I was about to say. I hesitated. There was still a part of me that struggled with the weight of that psychic's warning, the crumbling tower, the uncertainty of our future. But looking at Quinn, I felt bolstered enough to take a leap. Yes and no. It's more about us. She turned towards me, her expression shifting to one of earnest curiosity. What do you mean? I drew a deep breath, searching her eyes for a sign of understanding. I don't want us to end up like the tower, the one that crumbles under pressure. If we want this, if we want to be together, I need you to know how important you are to me. You're everything I could ever want. Her gaze widened, a flicker of vulnerability breaking through her playful demeanor. "B," she said softly, her voice almost a whisper above the wind. "I know that life is unpredictable," I continued, pushing on despite the fear knotting in my stomach. "I just want to be solid, I want to build something strong. But I need us to communicate, to be open about everything, you know." Quinn nodded, her expression thoughtful. "I understand. I'm scared too. I mean, what we have is special, but it's also new, and new can be mystifying." I supplied, my heart pounding in rhythm with the Ferris wheel's gentle swaying. "Isn't that what makes it worth it? If we're brave enough to lean in together, take a risk." Suddenly, I felt as if the world had split open, all its unknowns laid bare in front of me. The memories of the psychic's warning loomed in my mind, but in that moment, it felt overshadowed by the light glowing between us. Quinn's eyes softened. "You're right," she said, her voice raw with emotion. "I feel like I can be myself around you, B. I don't want to lose this. So let's would be honest, no matter how tough it might be." "Deal," I smiled, relief flooding through me like a soft balm. "I don't just want to go through the motions. I want every moment to count." As we descended back toward the ground, we both leaned against the side of the basket, our shoulders brushing together. The lights beneath glimmered like a promise, and I could see in Quinn's eyes that she was ready to take this step with me. The ride ended, and we stepped off the Ferris wheel feeling exhilarated, like we had just unlocked a new chapter. "Want to get something to eat?" Quinn suggested, tucking a loose curl behind her ear. "I could go for some funnel cake or maybe even some of that weird neon blue cotton candy." "Definitely cotton candy," I laughed, the sound bubbling out of me like the joy rising within. We made our way through the throngs of fairgoers, chatting and laughing all the while. Yet, somewhere in the distance, the nagging thoughts about the psychic's predictions lingered. No matter how many lights twinkled above or how many laughs we exchanged, there was an undercurrent of worry, creeping like shadows under the carnival glow. Suddenly, Quinn stopped abruptly and turned to me. "So, if we're being open, can we talk about something else?" "Of course. What's on your mind?" Her brow furrowed as she studied my face. What if you and I go on a little trip? Just the two of us. You know, escape the pressure of school and all the predictions." "A trip?" I echoed, my heart fluttering at the possibility. "Like a getaway?" "Yeah. Something spontaneous. We could head to the beach, or maybe the mountains. Just, I don't know, somewhere to breathe." Her eyes twinkled with excitement. "I'm in," I said without missing a beat, suddenly filled with an energy that rivaled the festive atmosphere of the fairgrounds. "When do we leave?" "Tomorrow," she ventured, her voice breaking with anticipation. "I can work on my parents to convince them. They love you, you know. Plus, they owe me a favor after I helped with the garage sale last weekend." The spontaneity of the idea quickened my pulse, infusing me with an exhilaration that overrode any lingering anxiety. "I can pack in the morning, be ready for an adventure." "Yes," she cheered, throwing her arms around me in an impromptu hug that caught me off guard. The warmth of her embrace enveloped me, and everything around us faded but the two of us. But then I glimpsed something out of the corner of my eye, a flicker of movement at the edge of the fairground. A shadowy figure stood staring into the tent we had just exited. It was the psychic, the woman in the tie-dyed tent. My heart raced again, the electricity in my body shifting from joy to